Hello from ADSOTECH, your Winshuttle partner in the Nordics. What will follow is a product demonstration for Winshuttle STUDIO TRANSACTION. First, I want to show you 3 examples from the end-user perspective. In Winshuttle terms, we talk about a runner user who is able to use existing Winshuttle scripts and Excel templates to push data to or from SAP. Of course, there needs to be someone who creates these scripts and templates. This person is called a developer. After the runner demos, I will show you a simple example of creating a new script from scratch. Here is an Excel template for material master data. This particular example was created to make changes in existing material data in SAP, and there's a script attached for MM02 transaction. I want to emphasize that this is a normal Excel file that anyone can use. The attached script, however, can be used only by someone with the Winshuttle application and license. When Winshuttle Studio is installed on a computer, Excel will show an additional menu at the top, Winshuttle Run. From this menu, I can run the attached script directly here in Excel. I will log on to Winshuttle first to get all the buttons available. I can open an SAP connection straight away as well, or I can wait until I'm ready to run the script. In this example, I want to first validate my data against the SAP system, just to see that all the data is appropriate and can be entered in the fields. So I click on Validate. Validation will not make changes to SAP data, but the script will go to SAP and check if the data given in Excel is valid for the respective fields in SAP. If the data is good, Winshuttle will bring back a success message, and if there is an issue, I will see an error message in Excel. Some of the data rows are okay. The message is success, while some rows have error messages. Let's fix the data based on the messages. Then I can run validation again, or attempt to make the changes in SAP by running the script fully. I will go for running the script and making the changes in SAP. Again, I get back messages. The run went through fine for some data rows, and those show material was changed message. This is the SAP message that is provided at the end of the transaction, in this case MM02. There is one row that was unsuccessful though. I believe I made a typo while I was talking. But before I go into that, note how Winshuttle has been able to move on after encountering an error on this one row. The following row has been handled and data updated in SAP as per the message. This means the data on the other rows has been updated in SAP, and the failed row is the only one I now need to fix and eventually rerun. However, still before fixing the data, let's look at the other sheets I have in this Excel file. These are backup sheets, named with the date and time of a specific run, and they hold the data that existed in SAP before running the script to make changes. Taking a backup of the SAP data is a good option when handling repeating updates to significant important data. So it's a feature that can be used with one script and left out of another, depending on the use case. Here we have decided to enable this feature. Now every time the script is run, a new sheet is created containing the data that existed in SAP prior to the update. Okay, getting back to the error message and fixing this error row. The message gives an indication what is wrong, and we can attempt to fix the data. Now I want to run the script again, but I prefer to handle only this one row and not do anything about the other rows. I can adjust the start and end row settings, But an even better option, I think, is to use run option. Run only error rows. With this option, Winshuttle will focus on those rows that have an orange error message on them in the log column. If the failed row is now processed successfully, the SAP message is shown in light green to separate it from the ones that were processed earlier. That's enough for this example. Let's take a look at another one from finance. The Excel template can look very different depending on the use case. This example has been set up for creating one document in SAP. So this is not a mass upload template now like the previous one was. Within this template, we have an FP50 script to create a GL posting in SAP. The document's header data is positioned at the top. And then there's space for the line items. Of course, GL postings can be created in mass as well, and then the Excel template would look similar to the previous Material Master example I showed. With this template, I want to start by talking about a feature called simulation. It is similar to validation, which I showed earlier, but it goes a little further. Simulation can be used for certain finance transactions only, but I want to highlight the difference to validation here, as many finance people have been interested in this feature. First, I will run validation. Everything seems fine. We can see success for all the lines, which means that the individual pieces of data are applicable for the SAP fields. For finance though, simulation is really a better option, so let me run that and show you the difference. Now the balance error is caught, which validation is unable to check. Of course, this would also be caught when running the script to create the document in SAP, as saving in SAP is not possible with a balance error, so we would get an error message to Excel. Let's fix the amounts and then we can either run simulation again or trust that everything is okay and simply run the posting to SAP. For this demo, I will rerun simulation. And once that is a success, I will click on Run to actually create the document in SAP. The log message coming back says that the document was posted. Okay, that's what I wanted to show in this finance example. Do remember that this type of single document entry is not limited to finance transactions. It can be useful when creating or updating a sales order in SD or an employee in HR. It's up to the use case you have, whether you require mass uploading or a single document entry, what the complete process looks like, and what data needs to be entered. You can use Excel functionalities, formulas, even macros if needed to create an Excel template to match your needs. All right, let's look at a mass upload template again. This is for hiring summer interns, which we now want to do in mass because there are dozens of interns coming in every year. So we have an Excel template for collecting the required data, handled by the HR personnel, and then the attached script can be run to get the data to SAP. The script in this example uses PA40 transaction in SAP. I have 10 people listed here with the appropriate data, but of course I could as well have 100 people. The data has been entered by a colleague, or I've done it myself, it doesn't really matter. The data is here and my task is to get it to SAP. I don't want to run validation or anything. I'm happy to run the data to SAP straight away. But before I click run, I want to show you one thing that I get asked a lot, and that is about the SAP environment that I run against. You saw me take an SAP connection before, and that connection is still there. Let's imagine that for whatever reason, I now want to run the script against a different SAP environment. Maybe I was doing some testing in the quality SAP and now want to switch to production SAP, or maybe I generally work with both the finance and HR and they use separate production environments, so I sometimes need to switch between them. Anyway, I want to change the SAP connection to another environment. For that, I click on the SAP connection button in the ribbon and log off. Then I can click again and take connection to another environment, or even the same. Simple, right? Now I will click on the Run button and wait for the script to come back with the log messages. Everything seems good. With that, the end user portion of the demonstration is finalized, and we should take a look at how a developer user creates a new script and Excel template. A developer user is able to run scripts just like I showed for the end user, but on top of that, a developer is also responsible for the creation of new scripts when the need arises. This is done from the Winshuttle application, which I have right here. I start creating a new script by selecting New on the left. Now I see three options: Transaction, Query, and Direct. Transaction is the one we want for pushing data to SAP. With some restrictions, it can also pull data from SAP to Excel, but mainly putting data to SAP through a T-code. Query can be used to fetch data to Excel directly from SAP tables, and Direct can push or pull data using BOPs. But now we're focused on creating a transaction script. The first step is to record the required steps in SAP. After recording, I need to map Excel columns to SAP fields, and finally I can test run the script. So that's record, map, and run. Right now I need an SAP connection. That is an SAP connection to a test or quality SAP environment. When recording, I need to save my actions and changes in SAP, and that's why I don't want to do the recording in a production environment. Once I give the T-code that I want to record, Winshuttle will open a new SAP session and bring me directly to the initial screen of the transaction. The basic idea is to go through the screens of the transaction as you normally would. There are some specialties to consider, but those will be covered in initial training, so I won't talk about those here. Now, in MM02, I will enter a material number and select Basic Data 1 as my starting view. As a simple example, let's say that in the script, I want to include the description and weights from Basic Data 1 and also Basic Material field from Basic Data 2 tab. I will put my cursor in each field and use my keyboard somehow. Using the keyboard will indicate to Winshuttle that this field needs to be recorded. I can change the field value, or retype the same value, or even go to the end of the value to press space and backspace. Now I want to navigate to Basic Data 2 tab to get to the Basic Material field. Navigation is best done from the drop-down list whenever it's available. Here I use my keyboard in the Basic Material field. Now I can finalize the recording as I don't need anything more to be included in the script. There are different ways of exiting the transaction and saving the data, which are again covered in training. For this recording, I will click the back button and select yes when the pop-up asks me to save the data. The SAP window closes automatically and Winshuttle starts compiling the script. This may take some time as there is data going back and forth between SAP and Winshuttle. Once Winshuttle is ready for me to move on, I will see the mapping screen. On the bottom of the screen, I have an untitled new Excel file, which I will use to create the template for my script. I could use an existing Excel file as well if I had one already set up, but I don't right now, so I will use the empty new Excel file. Above the Excel template, I have the script. Basically, just a list of the SAP fields I recorded. I can also look at it with more details, but for demo purposes, I will stick with the basics, so only the recorded SAP fields. The actual mapping is just about dragging and dropping, so using the mouse. I want to use column A for material number, so I drag from anywhere in column A to material number and release. The connection is made and I see the field name and value in column A in Excel. Same thing for the other columns and fields. I decide not to use all columns next to each other. That's completely up to me as the developer, whether I use columns A to I or X to AF. The important part is to have the data in Excel so that it makes the most sense to the end user and it's easy to fill in. There can be empty columns in the beginning or the middle, or calculations and formulas figuring out new values, or whatever else your template needs. Some values can be fixed as well. That is for those cases where the field always needs to have the same value. Then that value doesn't need to be available on the Excel template, but it's available in the script and set as a fixed value that will be updated to SAP every time the script is run. Okay, I think I'm ready with my mapping. I will save my work. That is 2 files, the script and the Excel template. And then I will move on to the last part of the process, running the script. In the Run menu, I see some features I'm able to add to my script at this point. So the core of the script is finished and I'm ready to run, but some options can be added here. And of course, I can always go back to mapping from the Map or View menus and adjust the script in more detail. For this demo though, I'm looking to run the script as it is. I will input a couple of rows of data first, check the start and end row in the ribbon, and then click Run. With the start and end row, it's easy to run a section of rows from a huge list. For running all the rows that have data, it's enough to check that the start row is correct and the end row can be 0 or end of sheet as it says now. End of sheet or 0 means that Winshuttle will keep working until the end of the Excel sheet if there is data. Whenever Winshuttle recognizes 5 consecutive empty data rows, it will stop running as it assumes there is no more data to be processed in the Excel file. This will happen regardless of the end row setting, whether end row was set to 150 or end of sheet. The script seems to be working. I've gotten log messages back from SAP without any errors. This concludes the demonstration. We'll look at some examples from the end user perspective, and then switched to super user perspective to create a simple script. I hope you got an idea of what Winshuttle Studio, and especially transaction part of Winshuttle Studio, can do for your data handling, both master data and transactional data, in pretty much all SAP modules. I couldn't fit all the Winshuttle capabilities in this demonstration, so if you're interested in seeing and hearing more, please be in touch. Thank you for joining.